Hold it, fellas. That don't move me. Let's get real going for a change.
It's time to get real gone on the Rockabilly and Blues Radio Hour. Here's your host, James Riley.
This is Jammin' James Riley on your favorite hour for great music and interviews, the Rockabilly and Blues Radio Hour. Hey, come up on the show today, we chat with guitarist Eddy Angel.
Put a 45 out on Rampage, and the flip side was Lynxtail, which was a tribute to Link Ray. And because I took to playing Link Ray like a duck to water, you know.
Lots more with Eddy and tunes he's played on. Let's start things off with a solo track from the Johnny Cash tribute album titled Dressed in Black. It's Eddy Angel covering Straight A's and Love.
Hi, this is Eddy Angel of Los Straitjackets and the Planet Rockers, and you're listening to the Rockabilly and Blues Radio Hour with Jammin' James Riley.
Well, reading and writing and arithmetic never did get through to me. It ain't because I'm square or thick, 'cause I learned my ABCs. But when I graduated from grammar school and I moved one grade above, I began to be a snooket book, but I made straight A's in love. Now the teacher would say to learn the algebra, but I'd bring home C's and D's. How could I make an A when there's a swinging maid on the left and on the right, and in the back and in front of me? Oh, my grades are low on my card, I know, but they ought to give me one above. If they give me a mark for learning in the dark, I'd have straight A's in love. Now in my senior year with graduation near, I did my homework every night. And when my mama said I ought to go to bed, I turned out all the lights. But my sweetie pie was written right outside, she'd be a cooing like a dove. Though I did my best, I flunked all my tests, but I made straight A's in love. Now the teacher would say to learn the algebra, but I'd bring home C's and D's. How could I make an A when there's a swinging maid on the left and on the right, and in the back and the front of me? Oh, my grades are low on my card, I know, but they ought to give me one above. If they give me a mark for learning in the dark, I'd have straight A's in love.
Hey, Jammin' James Riley on location, out visiting Eddy Angel here at your house. Thanks for having me out here, Eddy.
Well, thank you for asking me, James.
I sort of expected you to answer the door with a mask on, so I'm glad I'm glad you did.
Put it on if you want. I can put it on.
Well, one of the cool things, we all have a background, we all have influences, and it's always fun to find out from folks. Now, you grew up in Albany, New York?
Yes.
Who probably was your biggest influence as far as that got you into music, and what were some of those music interests that you had?
Well, I had 3 older sisters, and they were always playing rock and roll records around the house. So I kind of grew up hearing that. You know, Elvis, Chuck Berry, Jerry Lee Lewis. So I think my brain was wired at an early age to play in that style. But then when the Beatles came out, that put me over the edge. I mean, I always wanted to play music, even before the Beatles. I mean, I remember trying to play the clarinet and banjo and everything, but the Beatles came out, I was probably 10, and the clarinet went under the bed, and I had a guitar.
You know, it's interesting. In some circles, the Beatles are almost a negative. You know, maybe in the hardcore rockabilly world, sometimes they don't want to talk about the Beatles. But in my mind, and I think for a lot of folks in America, the Beatles opened up our eyes to a lot of great music that maybe we'd forgotten about.
Yeah, absolutely. And my answer to that is, I mean, the Beatles were doing Johnny Burnett songs when he wasn't doing it. I mean, he had stopped doing rockabilly, and they were doing it. But the Beatles could, I mean, they could do rockabilly, or they could do girl groups, and they could do R&B. So they were sort of the whole package. So yeah, I don't have a lot of patience for people who write off the Beatles because they weren't rockabilly or something. They were a great rock and roll band, but they were other things too. I mean, I understand, that when they were doing Yellow Submarine and stuff like that, I mean, it was pretty un-rock and roll. But in the beginning, I mean, that's my favorite part of the Beatles, really, is the early stuff. I'm more interested in, Beatles at the Star Club than I am Sgt. Pepper, In fact, I tell people, and they think I'm kidding, but my interest starts to wane after the Ed Sullivan Show appearances. I'm more into the real early Beatles.
Me too. There's such a raw energy there that pretty amazing. Of course, you had an album, Eddie Angel Meets the Beatles. It wasn't Beatles covers, but it was songs that they were doing pretty early on.
Right, and the idea was to pick out these songs that were in their repertoire, but they never recorded. And because, to me, they had such impeccable taste for songs to do. They're doing Arthur Alexander songs, and girl group songs. They would just had a knack for picking out the best songs instead of doing the obvious ones, instead of doing big hits like Blue Moon or something. I mean, they were a cover band, basically, and they were picking out these great obscure covers, R&B songs. That was the idea, and I learned a lot doing that record because I realized when they were in Hamburg and stuff, it was the height of the Twist era, and they kind of like blew the Twist right out of the water and never came back. I know it's maybe stating the obvious, but I don't know. But they were doing like Twist and Shout, which we never thought of as a Twist song, but it was,
Album Eddie Angel Meets the Beatles. That's his cover of Tommy Rowe's Sheila.
Tell me about how you got connected in the rockabilly circuit early on.
Well, like I said, I always had a real affinity for it. And when I picked up a guitar, even when I was playing Beatles songs, the thing that I was, from a guitar point of view, was George Harrison's playing of Carl Perkins. That his solos were very country influenced. Like I Don't Want to Spoil the Party or I'll Cry Instead, or All My Loving. Right in the middle of a pop song, he would do this great country sounding, rockabilly solo. And so that was always an appeal to me. So when I picked up guitar, that's what I was drawn to. I was never drawn to Jimi Hendrix or Jimmy Page or any of those guys, and I could never play like that. So my brain was wired differently. But so, when I started doing band, after I was out of school and I was getting in bands, I always was being drawn to rockabilly naturally. But I think the real kind of watershed moment for me was getting in a band with a guy named Tex Rubinowitz in Washington, D.C. That was really the beginning of my playing, rockabilly and taking it from there.
Well, I'm a rolling daddy with a mean machine. It's gotta be a motor that sure is clean. I'm a hot rod man. Yeah, I'm a hot rod man. Look out, little mama, gonna get you if I can. I got a cowboy caddy with a custom seat. It's leatherette, they're all rolled in pleat. Come on, little mama, sit by my side. You and your daddy gonna go for a ride. I'm a hot rod man. He's a hot rod man. Oh, I'm a hot rod man. He's a hot rod man. Look out, little mama, gonna get you if I can. Oh, Bobby, wind it up. driving on the edge of town. We're gonna look real cool as we tool around. All the fellas gonna scream and shout. When I leave, I'm gonna peel on out. I'm a hot rod man. I'm a hot rod man. Look out, little mama, gonna get you if I can. Oh, Billy Hancock. Go, go. Woo! Gonna head over by the lake and park, snuggle up real close in the dark. Tell you something, baby, you ought to know. The hot rod man don't ever move slow. I'm a hot rod man. I'm a hot rod man. Look out, little mama, gonna get you if I can. Hey, let's drag now. Well, I'm rolling daddy with a mean machine. It's gotta be Eddy motor and sure it's clean. I'm a hot rod man. I'm a hot rod man. Look out, little mama, gonna get you if I can.
Hi, this is Robert Gordon, and you're listening to Jam and James Riley on the Rockabilly and Blues Radio Hour.
Well, I buy her clothes and I buy her meals. When she goes out, wild, wild deal. Just ain't gonna take it no more. Gonna find me a gal I can't trust, the one I won't have to buy much. I just ain't gonna take it no more. Gonna make her come to me and beg before I ever move a thing. I just ain't gonna take it no more. She gonna wish to goodness she'd been true when she finds out what I'm gonna do. I just ain't gonna make it no more. I've been working and slaving all day long because my gal have been doing me wrong. I just ain't gonna take it no more. Gonna put on my best suit tonight, go out and grab that broad daylight. I just ain't gonna take it no more. I'm gonna make her come to me and beg before I ever move a thing. I just ain't gonna take it no more. She gonna wish to goodness she been true when she finds out what I'm gonna do. I just ain't gonna take it no more. Well, I just ain't gonna take it no more.
We're back on the Rockabilly and Blues Radio Hour. We just heard Robert Gordon and the tune Ain't Gonna Take It No More. It's from the album Satisfied Mind, featuring our guest Eddy Angel on guitar. We also heard a track Hot Rod Man by Tex Rubinowitz, an artist that greatly influenced Eddy down a rockabilly path.
We'll talk about several of the other things you've done, but let's talk about Los Straitjackets for a little bit. Tell me about the genesis of how this came together.
Okay, well, yeah, I moved here from upstate New York with a band in 1986, and we were here to get a record deal, and which we did. We got a record deal with CBS Records, and within a year we recorded it and got dropped, unceremoniously dropped, and so I was sort of at loose ends. I didn't know what to do, you know. But my first instinct was to do an instrumental band. I don't know why, because it was certainly not a smart thing or anything, but when I first had moved here with this band from New York, I was always doing a few Link Ray songs in the set. I remember one of our earliest shows, it was at the Exit Inn. A guy came up to me at the end of the night and introduced himself as Danny Amos, and he said, "Man, I never thought I'd hear anyone do a Link Ray song in Nashville." But anyway, so we talked, he told me he was in the Ray Beats, which that really impressed me because when I was in D.C., I mean, they were considered a really big band. So I'd met Danny, and that's funny, that same night I met Jimmy Lester, who became our drummer, and also Marshall Chapman, who became one of my best friends here in town, and one of my biggest supporters through the years. Well, on that one night at the Exit Inn, you know. So but anyway, when the band broke up, I wanted to do an instrumental band, so I got a hold of Jimmy Lester and Danny Amos. That was 1988. So we were doing an instrumental band here, and man, my friend